Hey everyone, welcome. Professor Leis here. Welcome to English 100. In this video, I'm going to explain the course syllabus. So I'm going to walk you through the different policies and the protocols for how our course will operate this semester. So even if you've read the syllabus on your own, it's very important that you watch this video because I'm going to explain some things, clarify some things. This is in an attempt to mimic the sort of traditional first day of class that we might experience in a face-to-face setting. If we were meeting in person, I would go through the syllabus on the first day and explain the policies, address questions, all of that sort of thing. So this is a way to kind of capture that spirit as best we can in this online environment. So please watch this whole video. Before we jump into the specifics of our class, I would like to address this image here and the statement below it. So this is a photo of the writer Zadie Smith. She writes novels, she writes essays, a really excellent writer. She writes very beautifully and just very smartly. She's one of my favorite writers, so I encourage you all to check her out. But the reason we're talking about this is this statement here, the very reason I write is so that I might not sleepwalk through my entire life. That statement really encapsulates the spirit of how I want us to think about writing in our course. So typically we think of writing as a way of communication, right? We might write something down in order to convey information to another person or an audience. We might write something down in order to record it, right? So if we're writing a list, for example, we jot those things down so there's a record of it so we don't have to remember it in our minds. So those are all excellent, very important uses of writing, but there's a third use of writing that is much more profound, much more prolific, and I really want us to tap into that this semester. And that is a way of paying attention. Writing is a way of making sense of the world. It's a way for us to better understand our thoughts, our feelings, and to make sense of the different events and information and the things that we encounter in our day-to-day lives. It's a way of not going through the motions, right? Not just walking through our lives asleep or just kind of on autopilot, but rather being conscious and aware and asking questions and making deeper sense of the things that we encounter so that we're more fully immersed in our lives and how we fit in the world, right? So once we begin reading from Habits of the Creative Mind, which is immediately, we're going to begin reading this week, we'll see that the authors of Habits of the Creative Mind, our course textbook, they really touch on this idea of using writing as a way of being conscious and aware in the world. And so we'll really check in with this theme throughout the semester. But I think this is a really great way to set the tone again for how I want us to think about writing in our class. Not just a way of communication, not just a way of recording information, but as a way of paying closer attention to the world. All right, well, let's jump in this. So my name is Corey Leis. As you all know, you can call me Professor Leis, Mr. Leis, or even Corey if you'd prefer. My email address where you can contact me at Cerritos College is cleis@cerritos.edu. I check my Cerritos College email account on a regular basis. However, I prefer that if you would like to contact me, as I mentioned in the tour video, to message me on Canvas. So using this inbox feature, message me on Canvas that way because I tend to check Canvas much more frequently than I do my email account. And so it's just a quicker way to get in contact with me, and that's what I prefer. So here's all of the relevant information for our course. So our class is an 18-week course, 4 units, and it's an online course taught in an asynchronous fashion, meaning we don't have any meetings, class meetings, whether online or in person. Everything is online, and you can kind of work at your own pace as long as we're keeping updated with the schedule. So for our class, our course materials, the things that we're going to need this semester, of course, we need the textbook, Habits of the Creative Mind, 2nd edition. Make sure that you have this book either in print or electronic form, as I've mentioned before. However you prefer, whether it's the hard copy or the digital version, it's up to you, but we need to have the second edition and we need it in order to succeed in the course. Anybody who doesn't have the book is unlikely to succeed in the course because everything that we do in this class depends on that book, so you need it. Something else that we'll need is an academic planner or a calendar. So whether that's a hard copy of an academic planner, so something that you use a pen or pencil to write in, or if it's just a calendar app in your phone or on your computer, whatever the case is, it's really important that you get in the habit of scheduling your responsibilities each week. Studies show that students who make great use of academic planners and calendars, they succeed at much higher rates than students who don't, generally speaking. And that's not surprising because they are just more organized, right? They know when things are coming up. They know when they need to set aside time to study for this test. They know when they got to get to work at that time. They know when they need to pick up their sister from school. They know when they need to do this and that and that and the other thing. And so they're much more organized and they're able to meet their responsibilities much more successfully. So if you're not in the habit of doing that, I highly, highly recommend that you get yourself an academic planner or you make use of your calendar in your phone or computer. But schedule things out. Something else that you'll definitely need, obviously this is an online course, so you need a computer and a reliable internet connection, okay? Can't do an online course without those things, so it's important that we have access to those items. You're able to access these things at school, on campus at Cerritos College, in the library, and some other places. So make sure that you are aware of those different places if you don't have access at home. The final things that we need in this class, and I argue the most important things, we need to have an open mind, a positive attitude, and a willingness to learn. Open mind, meaning that we approach new ideas and unfamiliar things with openness, meaning that we're not just rejecting things right away if they confuse us or if they challenge our thinking. We want to make sure that we're open to understanding ideas before we make a judgment about them. That's really important, not only in our class, but just college in general and in life in general. It's important to approach new things with an openness. Positive attitude, meaning that we're just approaching our class with that sense of positivity and we know that we can accomplish our goals and we're being kind to one another and that sort of thing. And then finally, a willingness to learn. College requires your participation. You can't succeed unless you yourself participate in your own learning, and you have to be willing to do so. You have to be willing to put in the effort and to make sacrifices and to do those things in order to learn, in order to succeed. All right, so course text, I've mentioned this several times already, but here's the publication information for Habits of the Creative Mind, second edition. Again, make sure it's the second edition. That is the only edition that we'll do. ISBN's there. Course description. This course guides the student through the writing process to develop expository prose with an emphasis on effective organization and on correctness. It meets transfer requirements at four-year institutions. So those of you who are planning on transferring to a university, rest assured that English 100 at Cerritos College, provided that you pass it successfully, will be transferable to a university. But ultimately what this class is designed to do is to equip you with some of the basic tools, skills, attitudes necessary in order to succeed in college with your writing. And so that's what ultimately this class is designed to help us accomplish. The student learning outcomes for English 100, these are the goals that we are trying to accomplish this semester. So upon successful completion of this course, students should be able to do these things. I've designed the course in order to meet these different learning outcomes, so you don't need to worry about that. But upon successful completion, you'll be able to do these things. Course values and objectives. This course values the importance of reading and writing in our lives. It understands that for a person to be critically engaged with their community and the world at large, they should be able to read and write well. It understands that power is granted to those who possess knowledge and the ability to think critically, and that education is a viable and important avenue for a person to take in order to improve the conditions of their life. This course also values curiosity, the potential for learning presented by confusion and failure, and the importance of deep learning and understanding over the simple memorization of facts and information in order to collect points for a grade. So these are the values and objectives that I've imbued in our class. Any class that you take with me is going to have these values and objectives. Course communication. So these are the different ways that you will communicate with me, how I will communicate with you, and how we'll all communicate with one another this semester. So the most common ways that I will communicate with the class are through announcements and class-wide messages. So you'll notice in our Canvas homepage at the top, there is a small section for announcements. And so the most recent announcements that I make throughout the semester will appear on the Canvas homepage. But you can also click on the announcements tab to look at those. But the more common way that I will contact you all or provide you with information this semester is through class-wide messages. So again, here's where the messages feature in Canvas comes into play. I will send out messages pretty often on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a week, just depending on what we're trying to accomplish. So I'll send out these messages to the class in Canvas. So it's really important, again, that you are checking Canvas, that you are looking at your messages. When you have a new message, there'll be a little circle with a number up in the corner, a little icon there on your inbox icon, and that will let you know that you have messages. It'll let you know how many messages you have. So again, pay attention to that, because I'll send you out a lot of messages this semester, so you want to make sure that you're aware of those. If you haven't already, I encourage you all to download the Canvas app to your mobile device. It's just another way of making sure that you're connected with your courses. Weekly module overviews. So there's a video in the tour video. I explain how to look at the modules, but the overviews at the top of each weekly module, there'll be a page that says week 1 overview, week 2 overview, week 3 overview, etc. So it's really important that you click on those weekly overviews every week, multiple times a week. And the reason for that is I basically break down your responsibilities for each week in those weekly overviews. So I'll just list out the things that you need to accomplish by the end of the week. And I might offer some explanatory detail or some clarification or some context to help you understand the responsibilities in greater detail or understand why we're doing them, for example. But in any case, it's really important that you're checking those weekly overviews in the modules, because that's how you're going to keep track of your responsibilities each week to make sure that you're meeting those responsibilities. Messages and emails. So again, I send out messages quite frequently throughout the semester using the Canvas message feature. Again, I encourage you all to message me through Canvas rather than using my email address. You can use the email address, that's fine, but I tend to check Canvas much more frequently, so it's just a better way to get in contact with me. So in either case, whether it's the message feature or an email to me, please make sure that you're addressing these concerns here. So one of the things that we are trying to accomplish in this class is having a greater awareness of who our audience might be in any given situation where we're trying to communicate information or trying to persuade somebody or whatever the case might be. So we need to understand who our audience is, and we need to understand how best to reach that audience. So this is a way to help practice that, all right? So I am your professor for English 100 at Cerritos College. So based on that information, you know that I might have a certain set of expectations as a college English professor that you need to try to meet if you want me to take your message seriously, right? So please make sure that you provide a clear subject whether that's the email or in Canvas. So a little subject for that message so I know what it's about. Please make sure that you greet me. Don't just launch right into your question immediately. It's not a text message to your best friend. This is an email or a message to your college English professor, right? I'm a friendly guy, but we still need to make sure that I'm adhering to the expectations of our audiences, right? So please greet me. Hello, Professor Leis. How are you doing today? I have a question about such and such. All right, excellent. That's nice. Good. I'm going to take this message seriously. And if you are, so if you want your message to be taken seriously, you need to treat it seriously. Please make sure that you close your message with an appropriate signature. Sincerely, your favorite student, so-and-so. Awesome. Excellent. So again, don't just launch right into your question or send this, direct message to me as though it's a text to your best friend. We need to make sure that we're meeting the expectations of our audience members. Now, for our, when you do message me, typically, like I said, I'm on Canvas pretty often throughout the day. So if you do send me a message kind of, in standard business hours, I'll tend to respond within a couple hours probably, but definitely within 24 hours. So if you send a message to me Monday through Thursday before 5 p.m., then you could probably expect a reply on that day. It might be the case, though, that I'll reply the following morning. But generally, it's going to be within 24 hours. If you send me a message over the weekend, don't expect a response until the following Monday. So just keep that in mind. And then if I haven't responded to a message, it's been 24 hours, I haven't responded, it could be the case that maybe your message got buried, or perhaps I forgot. I'm a human being, I forget things. So if that's the case, just send me a follow-up. However, if it's within 24 hours and I haven't responded, say you send me a message and it's an hour later and I still haven't responded, don't send me another response, okay? So don't send me a bunch of messages. Hey, Professor Lee, have you read my message yet? I'm still waiting. If I haven't responded to the first one, I'm not going to see the second one or the third one or the fourth one until I see the first one, right? So just chill out, just wait, and I'll get to it. But again, if it's been past 24 hours, send me a follow-up. All right, conduct and behavior. So just as in a face-to-face class, students are expected to treat one another with dignity and respect. Because we are all members of the same learning community, we are expected to respect the opinions of our peers, even if we may disagree with them. Disrespectful behavior of any kind will not be tolerated. Remember, constructive criticism is different from rudeness. Our goal as a learning community is to cultivate a culture of success, meaning we are enthusiastic about learning, engaged in our course material, and kind to one another. Above all else, be kind to one another. The world needs more kindness. Students are also expected to behave with decorum in their online discussion posts and interactions with me and fellow students. Inappropriate language, images, and/or links to inappropriate content will not be tolerated. Use your common sense here. I don't expect this to be an issue, but please use your common sense when you're posting things to our discussion boards. Make sure that things are appropriate. And again, as I mentioned, above all else, just be kind to one another. We may disagree with people. That's your right to disagree, but it's not your right to belittle somebody or to, make somebody feel small or to be rude. So anyway, again, I don't expect this to be an issue, but these are the things that we want to make sure that we're paying attention to. Projects and activities. So this is just a brief rundown of the things that we will accomplish this semester. So this semester, the type of work that we do is broken into two categories. One is summative work. So that's work that kind of encapsulates the sum of your abilities, your writing skills and your abilities. And then there's what we call formative work. And this work is where you practice these skills and abilities to be able to develop them. So summative work refers to our major essay projects. So this semester we will compose 4 major essay projects. These essay projects are designed to foster the writing strategies necessary for college level academic writing. Students will compose multiple drafts of each essay, cultivating an understanding that writing essays is an involved endeavor requiring work, time, active decision-making, and risk-taking. The prompts for these essays will be provided in the modules in our Canvas shell. And in total, with all the major essay projects that we'll write this semester, students will write at least 6,000 words of polished prose. Polished meaning that things are polished up. They're designed to look good, to sound good, right? So it's work that's been edited, carefully revised, and ready to present to the world. So again, we'll be composing 4 major essay projects this semester, and each of those essay projects will have drafts and different activities that we'll do in order to help us create those. So that's the summative work. Formative work are the different things that we'll be doing this semester in service of making sure that we're developing our skills for our summative work. So as part of our approach to cultivating good creative habits, we will regularly participate in writing and research activities to be posted in our discussion boards. These activities will cover a variety of topics and approaches, but they are all designed to help foster the various habits of mind to lead to increased creativity, curiosity, and appreciation of reading and writing. These regular posts will also allow students to interact with the other members of our learning community. The authors of Habits of the Creative Mind, Richard E. Miller and Ann Jurecic, have designed the book to help us practice and develop the habits, behaviors, and attitudes necessary for creativity and critical thinking. At the end of each section of the book, there's a series of activities and exercises, or what they call practice sessions. We will complete various practice sessions due on specified dates throughout the semester. The prompts for these practice sessions will be included in the weekly modules in Canvas. In total, students will write at least 2,000 words of exploratory writing. So this is the type of writing that we'll do for brainstorming, for generating ideas, for completing these practice sessions that we'll do throughout the semester. And all of this, the formative work, as I mentioned earlier, is meant to provide opportunities for practice so that you perform much better on the summative work, your major essay projects. And that's going to be really important when we get to the grading and assessment policy for our class. So stay tuned for that. Academic integrity. Academic dishonesty, which is the opposite of academic integrity, is a very serious offense and will not be tolerated under any circumstances. If you are suspected of academic dishonesty, you will not only break my heart, injure my faith in humanity, and make me doubt my mission as an educator. In other words, my life's work. So not only will you do that, you're going to receive disciplinary action. This can result in the immediate failure of the project, of this course, probationary action, and or expulsion from the college. It's not worth it. So trust me on this. It's not worth it. You all have set important and lofty goals for yourself, and that's why you're attending college, right? You don't want to jeopardize that. You don't want to, hinder your chances of success by, damaging your academic integrity here. Forms of academic dishonesty include collusion, which is lending your work to another person to submit as his or her own. Fabrication, deliberately creating false information. And plagiarism, the presentation of another person or robot's work as your own. This includes submitting work that has been written by a friend, sibling, spouse, or another person whom you may know. And I'm going to actually add this in. It's also going to, if it's written by a robot, in other words, AI, it's also plagiarism. So students may not submit projects for a class that they have submitted in another class or in other semesters. So that's important too. This is a standard college policy. You can't double count work. So if you submitted an essay for one class and got credit for it, you can't take that same essay and submit it in for another class and get credit for it. That's considered academic dishonesty. Turnitin.com generates a similarity report for each project submission. So this will submit our essays through the Turnitin.com app in Canvas. And so each time you do that, it'll generate a similarity report. So whenever we do that, we want to make sure that our similarity reports are no higher than 25%. I'll explain this a little bit more once we begin to submit some things. I'll address questions. But we just want to keep track of that, make sure that they're no higher than 25%. Withdrawal policy, almost done here, y'all. So sit tight here while we finish up. Only a couple more policies, but the withdrawal policy. So if you are no longer planning to finish out the course with us, so say in a few weeks, things conspire to keep you from being able to participate in the class for whatever reason. I hope that won't happen, but if that's the case, it's your responsibility to officially withdraw from the course. Otherwise, after a certain deadline, you're going to remain on the roster. And if it's the end of the semester and you haven't been completing any work all semester because you just stopped participating, I'm going to have to enter a final grade at the end of the semester, and that's usually going to be an F. And we don't want that, so just keep that in mind. Special conditions and accommodations. I have made every effort to make this course accessible to all students. So if you encounter a problem accessing anything in the course, or you require an academic adjustment based on the impact of a disability, please discuss this with me and contact Student Accessibility Services. So here's their phone number and the extension. So please let me know, send me a message within the first week or so, just letting me know if this applies to you. I want to make sure that everybody's able to learn as effectively as they can in our class. And because it's an online course, I only see what's on my screen. I don't know what's happening on the other side of the screen, so I'm not going to know if you're struggling with anything unless you tell me. So please let me know. I'm happy to make arrangements. I want to make sure that we're all able to learn as best we can. The COVID crisis has created change and disruption in many of our procedures, but it has not altered Cerritos College's commitment to equal access to educational opportunity. Students with disabilities who may need accommodation in order to fully participate in this class in this altered format should contact Student Accessibility Services to begin the discussion of how best to assure that access. So please let them know. So SAS, let them know, and then let me know. Additionally, if you anticipate any challenges or obstacles to your success in our course, conditions such as parental or work responsibilities, planned vacations or doctor's appointments, difficulties completing certain projects by posted deadlines, please let me know as soon as possible. I understand that life presents us with certain challenges, and sometimes we need to make alternative arrangements in these cases. I'm happy to try to work with you if you communicate with me up front. So that's really just overall a thing to keep in mind. Just communicate with me. Let me know if you're struggling with something, if you're unable to get something done by a particular deadline, or say you have to go out of town for whatever reason, and it's going to kind of disrupt your ability to work in the course for a week or something. Please let me know. Send me a message so that we can make arrangements and I'm not left guessing, and I know that things are going well for you. So please let me know. Just message me and we can make those arrangements. Student services and resources. So here's just a list of some of the more common student services and resources. So these are all links that will take you to the various web pages on the Cerritos College website. So these are the more common ones. So know that that's there for your convenience. All right, the final thing is the assessment and grading policy. I'm going to actually end this video now, and there is a page in the module called Assessment and Grading. And so go ahead and click on that, and then you'll see the video where I break down the assessment and grading. It's really important that you watch that video because this is our assessment and grading policy is different than what we're probably used to in most of our classes. So it's really important that we understand that. So I look forward to seeing you all there in that video momentarily. All right, y'all, stay tuned.